Algebra 1, simplifying radical expressions. Simplifying radical expressions. Please, I want from all to open your notebook. Slide this title, please, quickly. Simplifying radical expressions. The first idea, we want to learn simplifying square root expressions. What's the meaning of a radical expression? A radical expression contains a radical such as a square root. So a square root of a number is a value that when multiplied by itself gives the number. So because 7 times 7 equals 49, a square root of 49 is 7. So a number like 49 is sometimes called a perfect square. A perfect square. So what's the meaning of a perfect square? A perfect square is a rational number with a square root that is a rational number. Recall that the square root of a positive number has two possible solutions. For square root of a squared, where a greater than 0, square root of a squared equals to values minus plus a, because a squared equal minus a squared. So the positive solution a is called a principal square root. A principal square root. Listen here. For any non-negative real numbers a and b, the square root of ab is the square root of a times the square root of b. If you have square root of a times b, you can write square a times square b. If a greater than or equal 0 and b greater than or equal 0. For example, if you have square root of 4 times 16, you can write square root of 4 times square root of 16. Square root of 4 will be 2 and square root of 16 will be 4. 2 times 4 equals 8. And here, for any real numbers a and b, where a greater than or equal 0 and b greater than 0, the square root of a over b is equal to the square root of a divided by the square root of b. Square root of a over b equals square root of a over square root of b. If a greater than or equal 0 and b greater than 0. For example, square root of 100 over 4. You can do divide here. 100 divided by 4 will be 25. And square root of 25 will be 25. Or we can use the rule, square root of 100 over 4. You can write square root of 100 over square root of 4. So equals 10 over 2. 10 over 2 or 10 divided by 2 equals 5. So a square root is in simplest form if these three conditions are true. The square root contains no perfect square factors other than 1. The square root contains no fractions. There are no square roots in the denominators of a fraction. Listen, to the examples. This is very important lesson. So the title, Simplifying Redical Expressions. I want from all to write the question, please. Simplify each expression. Write this question. Simplify each expression and write the first example, exercise number 1. As usually you see here, we have root or square root of 68 b cubed c to the power 10. What I do to solve this problem, what I do to simplify this form, use the properties of roots. We can write here square root of 68 times square root of b cubed times square root of c exponent 10. Okay. How to simplify the root of any number? Take this number and try to write the prime factors of this number. So do analyze. 68 divided by 2 will be 34. 34 divided by 2 will be 17. 17 divided by 17 will be 1. So 68 equals 2 times 2 times 17. 2 times 2 means 4 times 17. Then b cubed means b squared times b. B cubed means b squared times b. So we can write b cubed as b squared times b. Then keep c to the power 10. Now you can do the square root now. What is the square root of 4? Which number multiplied by itself equal 4 will be 2. Which number multiplied by itself equals 17? We don't have. Do you have any number multiplied by itself equals 17? So keep it 17 under the root. So the simplify of square root of 68 will be what? 2 square root of 17. Then what is the square root of b squared? B. And what is the square root of b will be square root of b. What is the square root of c to the power 10? Excellent. 10 divided by 2. So will be c to the power 5. So we can write the answer to b c to the power 5, and here 17 and b, we can write here square root 17b. This is the last answer, and this is the simplest form for this square. Was any question about this idea? Okay, write the second exercise and how to do simplify. As you remember, as you know, 20 will be 4 times 5. And what is the square root of 4? Will be 2. What is the square root of 4 here? Will be 2. Square root of 5 times 2. So 2 times 2 will be what? Will be 4. So the answer will be 4 square root of 5. In this example, square root of 27. As you know, 27 equals 3 times 3 times 3. So we can write 27 as 3 exponent 2 times 3. What is the square root of 3 squared? Will be 3. What is the square root of 3? Will be square root of 3. So this is the simplest form. For this example, what is the square root of 49? 7. What is the square root of A6? Take the exponent divided by the radical, divided by 2. So it will be 3. So A cubed. How to simplify square root of 60? You can write 60 4 times 15. You can write 60 4 times 15. What is the square root of 4? 2. And put 15 under square, because you don't have number multiplied by itself equal 15. Square root لل4 شو يعني square root لل4؟ which number times itself equal 4؟ شو الرقم اللي بضربه بنفسه بيعطيني 4؟ 2. السكوير روت لل4 معناتها شو تساوي؟ 2. تمام؟ يعني لما اقول لا 5 times 5 25. سكوير روت اوف 25 شو بيساوي؟ 5. هذا سميناه البيرفكت سكوير. سميناه البيرفكت سكوير. زين؟ If you have square root of fraction, the first idea, distribute the root to the numerator and denominator. So you can write square root of 80 over square root of 36. Then simplify square root of 80. So as you remember, 80 equal 4 times 20, or equal 16 times 5. 16 times 5. So we can write 80 16 times 5. And what is the square root of 36? 6. Now up. What is the square root of 16?
4.
And 5, keep it under the square root. then you can do simplest form between 4 up and 6 down. You can divide up by 2 and down by 2. 4 divided by 2 will be 2. Square root of 5. And 6 divided by 2 will be 3. So the simplest form will be 2 square root of 5 under 3. Number 5, the same idea. Distribute the square for the numerator, square root of 24 over square root of 25. So 24 equals 4 times 6. And the square root of 25 will be 5. Square root of 4 will be 2. And keep it 6 under the root. Over 5. Okay? And here we have square root of 3 and square root of 30. We can write it square root of 3 times 30. 3 times 30. 3 times 30 will be 90. And 90 equal what? 9 times 10. What is the square root of 9? 3. And keep it 10 under the square. So the answer will be 3 under 10. 3 times the square root of 10. Who has any question about the properties of square root?
Square of 12, we put 3 or 6.
The square root of 12, 12 as you know, equal 4 times 3. Then what is the square root of 4? 2. And keep it 3 under the square root. يعني دائما حاول تكتب العدد بشكل عدد له سكوير، له بيرفكت سكوير. لاحظ هلا ال 12 انا شو حولتها ل 4 و 3 لانه ال 4 في له، لانه ال 4 هي عباره عن بيرفكت سكوير، في عدد اضربه بنفسه يساوي 4.
اوكي نقدر نحط 6.
لو حطيناها بهذا الشكل 2 تايمز 6 ما عاد نقدر نعمل لها تبسيط. ليش؟ لانه لا 2 بيرفكت سكوير ولا 6 بيرفكت سكوير. بينما اذا كتبتها على شكل 4 تايمز 3 تلاحظ انه بتتبسط معك لانه ال 4 هي عباره عن ايش؟ عن بيرفكت سكوير. فدائما حاول تكتب العدد بصيغه بيرفكت سكوير. تمام؟ في اي سؤال شباب؟ واضح؟ طيب نروح للفكره اللي بعدها. Operations, write this title please. Operations with radical expressions. Operations with radical expressions. We want to learn adding and subtracting radical expressions. We want to learn adding and subtracting radical expressions. To add or subtract radical expressions. The radicals must be like in the same way. Who can remember us what the meaning of the radicals? The number where inside the square root. The number inside the square, the name of this number will be what? Radicals. العدد اللي بيكون بقلب الجذر. العدد اللي بيكون داخل الجذر شو بنسميه؟ Radicals. The same way that monomial terms must be like to add or subtract. معناتها شو معناتها الكلام؟ انه انا ما بقدر اعمل اد او سبتراكت الا اذا كانوا العددين داخل الروت مثل بعضهم، الا اذا كانوا العددين داخل الروت مثل بعضهم. طيب if you have monomials 5a plus 3a, you can write 5 plus 3 and you can write the same variable because here you have a and here you have a, and the answer will be what? 8a. And if you have 7b minus 2b, as you see here you have b and here you have b, you can add or subtract if you have the same variable as you remember in the monomials. So you can write 7 minus 2 and put the same variable, then 7 minus 2 equal 5b. And also the same idea when you want to do add or subtract in the radical expressions. So if you have 5 square root of 3 plus 3 square root of 3, if you have here this square root, the same this square root, you can do add. How? Take the number plus the number 5 plus 3, then put the same square root here. Then 5 plus 3 will be 8. Then put here square root 3. 8 square root 3. And also here, when you have 7 square root of 5 minus 2 square root of 5. As you see, here you have square root 5, and here you have square root 5. So you can do subtraction here because you have the same square root. So we can write 7 minus 2 square root of 5. And 7 minus 2 will be what? Will be 5 square root of 5. Examples. Okay. إذا معناتها تذكر دائما ما بقدر أعمل بلس أو ماينس للسكوير روت إلا إذا كان لهم نفس السكوير روت. إلا إذا كان لهم إيش؟ نفس السكوير روت. أما إذا كان السكوير روت مختلف ما بنقدر نعمل لا آد ولا سبتراكت. مثلا you wrote this title, Operations with Radical Expression. Write this question, please. Simplify. As you see here, exercise number 1. We have 5 square root of 12 minus 2 square root of 6 minus square root of 216. As you remember here, we have different square root. Here 12, here 6, here 216. So we cannot do here subtraction between them because we have different square root. So what I do to do this operation, try to simplify the square root. Right. As you remember, 12 equal what? Equal 2 times 6. And here you have minus 2 square root of 6. And as you remember, 216 means 6 times 6 times 6, or 36 times 6, or 36 times 6. Then this is 5. And here 2 times 6. 2 times 6. 12. So we can write square root and square root 6. Square root of 2 times square root of 6. Then here we have minus 2 square root of 6. And here minus, what is the square root of 36? 6. So we can write here 6 square root of 6. But as you see here, here you have square root of 6. Here you have square root of 6. Here you have square root of 6. Now you have now what? The same square root. Now you can do subtraction. How to do subtraction? Take the numbers before the square root. So 5 square root 2, then minus 2, then minus 6 square root of 6. So you can write here 5 square root of 2. Minus 2 and minus 6 will be minus 8. Square root of 6. Who has any question about this idea? تمام. إذا عم يسألني زميلكم هاي السكوير روت هاي 6 وين راحت؟ احنا قلنا انه هون صار عندك سكوير روت اوف 6 ولاحظ هون صار عندك سكوير روت اوف 6 ولاحظ صار عندك هون سكوير روت اوف 6. فإذا كان عندك نفس السكوير روت صار بإمكانك تعمل اد أو سبتراكت للعدد المضروب بالسكوير روت. يعني مثلا المونوميال الأول أو الترم الأول شو العدد المضروب فيه؟ هو 5 سكوير 2 multiply by square root of 6 and here minus 2 and here minus 6. Because you have the same square root of 6 here, square root of 6 here, square root of 6 here, you can subtract the radical here. How? Take the numbers who multiply by this square root. What is the first number? 5 square root of 2. And the second number minus 2. And the third number minus 6. So you can do subtraction to these numbers. And all numbers have the same square root. How to subtract here? Keep the square root, 5 square root of 2, then minus 2 minus 6 will be what? Will be minus 8. Square root of 6. Okay, Michelle? Listen to the exercise number 2. As you see, here you have 21, here you have 21. When you have the same square root, you can do subtraction. How? Take the number who multiply by the first square, 9. Then take the second number, minus 3. Square root of 21. So 9 minus 3 will be what? 6. Square root of 21. إذا لاحظ إذا عندي نفس السكوير روت بنقدر نعمل ماينس أو بلس. كيف؟ للعدد المضروب بالسكوير. باخذ ال 9 ماينس ال 3. شو بيعطيني؟ 6. سكوير روت of 21. طيب. هو ان هذول يعني مو درس جديد، نفس الفكره، كلهم عم يتحدثوا عن ايش؟ عن الريديكال. لاحظ انه الافكار هي كلها عم تتحدث عن الريديكال، فهنا لا يعتبر درس جديد، هو متابعه لافكار بنفس الدرس. طيب listen here to the number 3. As you see here you have square root of 5w and here you have square root of 5w. So we can do subtraction here. How? Take the number who multiply by the first square root, 18, minus the number who multiply by the second one. Then put the same square root. $18 minus 15 will be 3. Square root of 5w. Do you have any question here about exercise number 3? Number 4. As you see here you have 8, here you have 98, here you have 20. We have different square roots. So we cannot add or subtract here. So what I do in this case, try to simplify H1. Try to simplify H1. And if you take square root of 8, as you know, 8 equal what? 4 times 2. What is the square root of 4? Will be 2. Square root of 2. So we can write here 2, and here you have 2, means 2 times 2 will be 4. Square root of 2. Then, what is the simplify of square root of 98? We can do analyze. (98) divided by 2 will be 49. Divide by 7 will be 7. Divide by 7 will be 1. So the square root of 98 will be the square root of 7 times 7 means 49 times 2. What is the square root of 49? 7. And what is the square root of 2? Will be square root of 2. So we can write 98, 7, square root of 2. Then square root of 20 equal 4 times 5. The square root of 4 will be 2. Square root of 5. So we can write here minus 5 times 2 will be minus 10. Square root of 2. Now as you see, here you have 4. Here you have the square root of 2. Here you have square root of 2. Here you have square root of 2. So we have the same square root. Now we can do add or subtract between them. Take the number who multiply by the square, 4 plus 7 minus 10. Square root of 2. Four plus 7, 11. 11 minus 10, 1. So it means square root of 2. As you see here, exercise number 6. Here, 2 square root of 27. We can write it 2 square root of 9 times 3 plus 5 square root of 3. So 2, what is the square root of 9? Will be 3. Square root of 3 plus 5 square root of 3. 2 times 3, 6. Square root of 3 plus 5 square root of 3. Now we can add, because we have the same square root. 6 plus 5 will be 11 square root of 3. Okay? Was any question? So this is our video for today. Thank you for your listening. Have a nice day. See you inshallah in the next period today. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.